gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's me, myself, on here to do a live stream tonight. I know I've already uploaded today, so it's a kind of double upload special. I decided to do this because it's been a quiet weekend in terms of content. I didn't get to do the normal match reaction video that I done yesterday. I didn't get uploading on Saturday because usually if we're playing the Sunday I would take the Saturday off. I just felt like there was a lack of content for you guys, and that always makes me feel a little bit guilty. So I decided, why not just give you a wee bonus live stream tonight on top of the video that was put out today. On that note, if you haven't went and watched today's video, sorry, well, I saw it myself. If you haven't seen today's video yet, it's on the channel, so check it out after this stream if you're here to watch along, or if you want to bugger off and watch that, it's up to you. As long as you're watching something, that would be appreciated. But I've decided that this stream will try and have a wee bit more conversation dictated by you guys, whereas my opinions on the match itself and everything else will be over in the match reaction video. So we'll try and make things a wee bit different here today on this stream. The stream doesn't have to be strictly about yesterday's performance or yesterday's game. It can be about the wider ramifications or anything that's involved. Going forward with the rest of the season, I just want to have a gab, have a laugh, answer your questions, have a good time. It's as simple as that. And hopefully, sorry, pardon me, I was trying to bucket down my tea right before I went live, so it's not sitting well, I must say. And on that note, I'll finish it off. Thank you. So aye, it's nice to see you all piling into the chat anyway, some of the familiar names and such. Always a good laugh, these streams. Probably won't be the only one that I do this week. I imagine there'll be quite a few because I anticipate it for as busy as a stage of the season we're at, with the everything that's on the line, with what context is and all that. I still feel like it's going to be generally quite a quiet week. I don't think there's going to be many stories coming out or much to report on or talk about. So I imagine there'll be a couple of these streams this week. So aye, just keep your eyes out for them. How are we all doing anyway? I'm good. Nice to see you, Kyle. I'm good. I am good. How are you? Hope it's good. In terms of stories that have come out tonight and all the rest of it, there isn't much. A couple of names being thrown around in the transfer market, of course. We've heard our Celtic's name being linked with, Asmir Begovic, for example, which, God, don't get me started. Asmir Begovic's name has been thrown around. A player over in Austria, Patrick Pence, has been asked. He's Austrian. But currently playing for Leverkusen on loan to Brøndby, another goalkeeper that's been linked with this alongside Asmir Begovic. So there's a couple of names out there, but in terms of stories, not much. I mean, the big story is James Forrest is on fire, isn't he? It's the title of today's stream, and it'd be rude of me not to talk about him. We're talking about potentially seeing James Forrest back in the Scotland side this summer for the Euros. There is a lot of talk that he could be featured in the squad and get a recall to the Scottish national team, which would be a reward for his form of late, I suppose. I mean, Scotland isn't a national team that is blessed with wingers at the minute. It's not a side that has, a great depth of options on either wing, especially with injuries that we're facing at the minute in the Scottish national team. I mean, James Forrest has done everything he can in recent games to be in with a shout. I can't quite believe the rejuvenation that we've seen of James Forrest in recent weeks and how important that he's become in this quest to winning the league title. Brendan Rodgers came out a few weeks ago and spoke about how James Forrest is the best winger at the club, and we all kind of laughed at him, and now, I mean, Brendan Rodgers' comments are being backed up by the player himself, and James Forrest is obviously a player that's faced many a criticism by fans in recent years, and whether you agree with the criticism or disagree with the criticism, I think we can all come to a happy middle ground in saying at times it has been warranted, at times we've not seen the best from James Forrest, and he knows that himself. So maybe some people over the top of their criticism or whatever, you might think that, but the criticism has been warranted at times. But hell of a lot of respect and praise to him for overcoming that, battering through the kind of criticism that he's been facing, and showing the confidence to really come through and be a big part for Celtic. I think that's a big part of why he's been so good, is the confidence that has been installed back in him, the confidence that the manager has put in him. He's got someone now, that hand on the shoulder that maybe he needed. Under Ange Postecoglou, he wasn't getting a sniff. He quite clearly wasn't made for his football and his systems. He had flashes of brilliance. He had that hat-trick, remember, against Hibs. There was moments for him, purple patches, but he was never the Ange Postecoglou player. and maybe this is just a hand on the shoulder on the manager that he needed to get that confidence back in his game. I mean, it is. I mean, Jack's saying it here. Our two wingers both fit. It should be Maida and Forrest in the wings at the moment. You actually cannot dispute that at all. I like Nicholas Kuhn, and I think that he's growing into being a Celtic player. But at the moment in time, I think that you would be stupid to say that Forrest and Maida aren't the two obvious starters right now based on current form, should Maida come back fit enough in time for Saturday's game against Hearts. So it's a real credit to James Forrest what he's doing. If he gets back into the Scotland team, then fair fucks to him. Pardon my French, but quite simply, fair play. Because it's something I wouldn't have predicted at the start of the season. It's something that I never would have seen happening. And I'm absolutely, delighted to see it in terms of, every player that plays for Celtic, I want to do well. And I know that some people might run with a narrative in this channel that I washed my hands of Forrest years ago. And listen, there was a point, not even 3 months ago, I thought that he should maybe moved on from Celtic. But I'm more than happy to eat my words. It's not like I wish for these things to happen. I wish for players to perform poorly or their careers to be done at a club. No, absolutely not. If you've got something to offer Celtic, give us it. Give us it any time you take to the field. Because the more playing better, the more chance you have of winning league titles and trophies. So James Forrest wants to contribute to that. That would be absolutely delightful. And so far, he is contributing. My glasses are absolutely manky. Sorry, it's really distracting me, especially when you get light shining on them from the studio lights. So yeah, James Forrest right now. Let's get a few of the comments in regards to Forrest on screen. Joe saying that Forrest has a purpose to serve without a doubt. But I wouldn't drop Kuhn for him. So Joe thinks Kuhn should stay in the squad ahead of James Forrest at the moment in time, which I think is fair as well. I don't think that there's a massive debate to be had in terms of you have to feel strongly on either side whether Kuhn or Forrest starts. I think both players have got something to offer at the minute. Right now, I think I would lean towards Forrest in current form, but I think that there's a real bigger story with starting Kuhn because you want him to keep growing and getting better. So I guess there is obviously a positive in starting both players. Let's see what else has been said about James Forrest. Big Red says, is it bad or good that Jamesy was man of the match? I love the wee fella, but does it show a lacking in the transfer window? Yeah, absolutely. And I said it in today's video. I think that we need to... There's the point to be made that just because Forrest is playing well at the minute doesn't mean it's disregard all of the problems that there is and that Forrest is the answer. We need to go out in the summer and recruit heavily in the wings, both on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, in my opinion. I think we need to have quality additions. I love the form that he's on right now, and I know some people will get pissed off with me saying it because they always do when it comes to Forrest. Forrest has got a very loyal fan base. But Forrest shouldn't be starting for Celtic next year. I don't care what anybody says. As good as he's doing right now, and he has I'm not saying he has no part to play at Celtic, but he shouldn't be starting games for Celtic in 2024, 2025. That league campaign, no way. So they need to go out and they need to sign players. Murray, hello, good to see you. He said, fair play to Forrest. So many times in the last 5 or so years he's been written off, and you wouldn't be wrong to think that, but he knuckles down every time. Absolutely, he does, and I think that's a testament to the character of him, because I think many players might have down the tools a long time ago. And saying that, as well as Forrest has done in the last 2 games, I still think we need 2 wingers at least. Yeah, just kind of adding on to the point that I was just making. Thanks, Murray. I appreciate it. Gordon saying that Forrest is the steady head and experience we need to reel this title in. Yeah, I touched on that in today's video as well. And moments like this in the season where you need to dig deep and you need to bring out the most confident side. I think that James Forrest, a man who's been there, done that, and won more trophies than anybody else in the side, is really the guy that you probably want to help him to spearhead that challenge. He's definitely somebody that has a massive influence in the changing room. So there's definitely a mentality side of things that comes into it as well. Forrest needs to take a player like Yang under his wing and develop him from one player to another, because I believe that there's a player in Yang that just needs to be unlocked. Yeah, definitely. Once again, the experience comes into play with James Forrest for so many different reasons, whether it's trying to challenge for a trophy or trying to nurture talent out of younger players. I think that there's always a positive of having James Forrest. Should Forrest be our main right winger, says Kyle? For the rest of the season, yes, but not going forward. Not moving into next season. He can't be the first choice, but he has a purpose. Absolutely 110%. Jack says, I like Kuhn, but if you compare performances this season, James is far clearer, and that shows how bad their transfer windows have been. Yeah. So a lot of kind of similar thoughts when it comes to James Forrest right now at the minute in time. I think that there seems to be a pretty unanimous decision. I know not everybody will adhere to the same views. I'm not putting words in people's mouths because I know I don't speak for the fans. But I think if you look online and you just look in my comment section in general, I think there's sort of a unanimous thought amongst supporters at the moment that Forrest has got a part to play and should be an influential part of this side from now to the end of the season. He should start in games and getting minutes. But beyond the summer, that role changes for him. And I think a big part of that has to be because Forrest has been here many times. We've seen glimpses of Forrest being fantastic, but we know how the story ends. And I hope that isn't how the story ends this time, but this is a different era of James Forrest. He's 32 now or whatever. He's getting on a little bit. And you can see it in his fitness and the minutes that he can play, that we can't rely on him for a full campaign next year or moving for years forward after that. So, yeah, I think there seems to be a pretty unanimous sort of decision. Murray says, I don't want to slate him. Maybe I'm being unfair because you can't base it on the last 2 weeks, but with so much football still to be played, Ida not convinced his answer going into next year. Oh, right, that's what I thought you were going to talk about Forrest. We'll come on to the rest of everybody else in a moment, but it's a good point, Murray, absolutely. Should be and finally, to end off the James Forrest conversation right now, should James Forrest be on the plane to Germany? Should he be going to the Euros? If this Scotland injury crisis is bad as I think we take Jamesy to Germany, I can see it happening. I really can. Do I see him starting games for Scotland? No, but I mean, I think there's this 26-man squad for the Euros, isn't it? I think it's up from 23 to 26. There is no harm in having somebody like James Forrest in the Scotland squad. There's absolutely no harm in it at all. So if there needs to be players to pad that team and to add experience and know-how, James Forrest's got to be up towards the top of the list at the moment, which is a crazy, crazy thing to say. If you asked me even 2 months ago, would I be considering James Forrest for Germany, I would have laughed in your face. And not out of disrespect for James Forrest, but he wasn't really playing football. It wasn't a big part of the Celtic side a couple of months ago. So, well, fair play to him. Absolutely fair play to him. Right, shall we go off onto other subject areas then? Shall we talk about, wider issues? Forrest is only 32. Does he not have another season or two left? He does, as a bit part player, though, because we see it now. He can't play 90 minutes. So I know that he's only 32, but wingers' shelves lives are a lot shorter than other positions. The running that you've got to do and the fitness levels that you've got to have. I don't think that James Forrest is going to be a starting player for any more of his career, really. He's an impact sort of player. He plays a game, plays 60 minutes or so. Brendan Rodgers been open about that at the minute. If Forrest can get himself into shape when he's starting games, and obviously there's a conversation to maybe have there, but I don't know. Right, let's move into other areas. Let's get your questions in. Let's have a gab about Celtic. Let's have a few conversations on different areas. I think we've spoke about Forrest for a healthy amount of time. And yeah, I keep saying a lot of questions. I sit around in different topics I've covered a million times, so if I ignore some certain ones, I apologise, but you know how it works by now anyway. Will Rodgers keep Mikey Johnson in the summer, MJ? I don't know. I don't think he should. Is that kind of quieting down his West Brom form? I'm glad West. What did I just say? Did I say what team? Did I say West Brom? West Brom. Has it kind of calmed down? Because I've not heard his name pop up in a while. To be quite honest. I see Forrest wanting to play alongside his brother again before he retires. If the opportunity came along, maybe, but I don't. It's not like I think he would. I don't think he'd go out to make that happen. You know, if the opportunity arose, because Alan's never going to play for Celtic, and I don't see Jamesy going to Hearts, to be quite honest. So if the opportunity arises at a club, then you never know. Then maybe, but I don't know. I don't think it's maybe high in the bucket list. Ewan, hi Ryan, hope you're well. Could have been doing with Forrest being fit for this. with Forrest being fit for the season, we could have won 10. But fair play to him for playing well lately. And are you going to both WWE shows at Hydro? I am going to both. And Jamesy Forrest. God. I think it's time for Liam Scales to go in the summer. Wow, that's a bit... I thought Scales had a decent game at the weekend. I really did. I still, once again, similar to Forrest, think that the Scales has a part to play in terms of squad depth. But he's not as high in the pecking order as maybe what he was back in November time. He's slipped down that list quite heavily as well, may I add. He's nowhere near as high up in the list that maybe he would have been. What happened to Bernabe? He's out on loan. He's in Brazil. That's what happened to him. Apparently, the media made up stories about his flight being missed as well. Hi Ryan, I was saying about I was saying about Ida, not to slate him or sound unfair, but I'm not convinced he's going to answer. Yeah, I think that the jury can't come to a decision on Ida, can it? Because I think that he's one of these players that is subject to how he plays week by week. If he has a good game and he scores 1 or 2 goals, then fans want him signed. We want us to go and spend £5 million on him. But if he doesn't have a good game, then fans want nothing to do with him next year. I think it's a big few games for Adam Ida coming up. I'm not entirely convinced, but I do like him. I'll come back to what I said in the podcast. It all comes down to the price. It all comes down to the circumstances surrounding the potential signing of Adam Ida. I don't think it's as straightforward as just saying, right, Norwich, what you want in here, have it and take it, man. You've got to assess the options. You've got to see who's out there. You've got to realistically measure if there are better options than Adam Ida. And you've got to look at the price that they're wanting for Adam Ida. He's not the answer. He's not. And he never will be the answer. I think Celtic need to go and sign an elite striker. And when I say elite, I mean elite for our level. I'm not expecting us to go and sign fucking Robert Lewandowski, right? I mean elite for our level. They need to bring in someone who's better than him and Kyogo. That should always be the aim of Celtic, to improve in every position. I've said that for years, and I say it year after year after year. Nobody's position is safe in this team, not even Kyogo, a man who's scored umpteen goals since signing. Hundreds, feels like. We should aim to improve in every single area, and that includes up front. Let's see, if we win the league, how do you think we'll do in the new Champions League format? Depends who we draw. Same box standard answer every year. Depends who we draw. Don't know what 8 games we'll end up playing, so I'm not going to speak too soon. Could be 8 good games, could be 8 horrible teams, but we know exactly what will happen. Kanzo, good to see you, my man. How you doing? Said, we need a quality goalkeeper this summer. Who would you pick? Who's realistic for us, mate? I wouldn't pick Asmir Begovic. That's the first thing. And I know some people might come in the chat and say, Begovic's a good keeper. Number one, I've not watched him play in years. I don't know if he's even still good, so I'm not going to say that he is or isn't. But we do not replace 37-year-old Joe Hart with 36-year-old Asmir Begovic. What a terrible decision that would be. You're getting a year out of Begovic. Why? Why just make this problem worse? Begovic isn't the answer. I don't even think he is. I think that's just a story that's been put together. Out of the names that have been floated around that are realistic, I like a couple of the options. I really do. If we could push the boat out and somehow get Anthony Patterson from Sunderland, he'd be my top pick. I don't think we will, though. I think the money will be too high for him. I think the Sunderland will want 20 million quid for him. Especially with teams like Arsenal and Manchester City and Liverpool apparently being interested in him. So Anthony Patterson's probably off the table. But I would like to see us push the boat out for a goalkeeper if we possibly could, and he's one of the names that I like. Apart from him, the Turkish keeper looks a good option. But we'll just need to wait and see what ones get more realistic through stories. Right, I'm going to have to scroll down the chat. Got a lot of questions coming in. By the way, over 170 viewers live right now. If you haven't, please, it's very important you do this. Please, 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 please do it for me. Go down below, hit the like button. I would appreciate that. I'd appreciate that loads, especially after the quiet weekend on the channel. It's time to get us back on recommended and stuff like that. If you haven't pressed like, I'm going to have to scroll down the chat. So if you really want me to answer your question, please just spam it. And I'll try and get to it with the last 10 minutes I've got. I've got 5 asides at 8, so I need to move my backside. Bring back Parka, says Ewan. Absolutely. Do we need a new right back over Johnson? I want right back options beyond Johnson. Once again, nobody's played. If we can bring in somebody that's better than Johnson, then great. We need another right back though, Ronzi. So if they happen to be better than Johnson, fair enough. But as long as we sign one, because I think that we need somebody who's coming in to strengthen that area in general. I think. I might, Martin. I don't know yet though. I might go to that game. There's been Has there been any Celtic kit leaks yet? Do you know what? I'm going to look at it during this stream at some point. Considering Shankland and Miovski could leave their clubs, would you loan out O to Aberdeen or Hearts? Absolutely, I would. If we strengthen our own striking options, then yeah, I think O needs a move. He needs something to try and get that development. What about Evan Ferguson? Christ, what world do you live in, William? Have you got £100 million to sign him? Don't think that's going to happen. It's been a quiet year, Ferguson. I think injuries have hampered him, but he's somebody who's just, I love Evan Ferguson at Celtic. But I'll save that for my dreams, sadly. Well, not to burst your bubble. Not to burst your bubble, but that would never happen. Ryan, do you think Scott Bain will start next year? No one heard bored. Listen, Martin, wouldn't be shocked. Wouldn't be shocked, but no, I don't see them neglecting us that much. But I wouldn't be surprised if it got to the first game of the season and Scott Bain had to play. I tell you that right now. If we got to the opening game of the 24-25 campaign and Scott Bain was starting goals, wouldn't be stunned. Absolutely wouldn't be stunned. A lot of people, I'll answer this question because a lot of people seem to be asking it, and it hurts to say, and you're going to call me an idiot, but 390 quid, yep, for both tickets. Not each, 390 for the two. Not a great price, I must say, Michael, but you know me, big fan, I love it. It'll be my fourth pay-per-view. No, it'll be my third pay-per-view, and then my fourth will be Bash. So, yeah. Yeah, he hasn't scored in 20 odd games. Well, he's had a quiet season up and down. Brighton have been rotten this year. They have been. But he's one of those players that no matter how poorly he performs this season, the bar is set with him in terms of the potential that's there and the money that Brighton will want, especially because he ticks criteria down there as well. I know he's not English, but he's been trained at an English club, hasn't he? So he's going to cross criteria because he's been there for as long as he has before the age of 21. So a lot of money on him. Which is a shame because I would love to see him at Celtic, I must say. Just a shame it's not going to happen. Would I take Dean Henderson? If it was possible, then yeah, absolutely. But once again, he's Palace's number one, isn't he? So I don't see that. What's the plans for the channel over the summer? I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see. Last summer I was very busy because we were looking for a new manager. So this summer, I don't know. But we'll figure it out. Listen, my thoughts are on trying to win the league first, Murray. And that's... The stress is there before the stress is on summer, but we'll wait and see. Keep an eye out on it tomorrow. That's all I'll say, Lee. Do you think we should bench Kyogo next season and get a new main striker? I don't think that the stress has to be on the manager or Kyogo to bench him or for him to be benched. I don't think we should make that a big deal. But what I am saying is, and I've said it, I don't want to sound like a broken record, if there's a striker out there who's better than Kyogo and we can get them, sign them, create conversation for places, and make it a difficult spot to get into in this team. It's as simple as that for me. Kyogo's played, as much as I love Kyogo and as good as he's been, his space is nowhere near safe on this side. Neither's anybody's. And I sound like a broken record. A lot of people asking about different goalkeepers. I see Trafford's name floating about in there, another player who I think is going to end up at a big club for big money. Even though Burnley have had a shocker of a season, but it's just young English people, young English players. They go for big prices, whether they're good or not. It's we know that. Baldy Prick 1888 says, in my opinion, I want to see an actual good defensive midfielder come to Celtic. Usually a problem in the Champions League is the midfield getting overrun, but I would love a different centre-back to replace Scales. So a CDM and a centre-back is on Baldy Prick's list, and it's also on my list as well. I would like both of those kind of players as well. I think that we're at the point, I think generally as Celtic fans, and I think that most of you agree here, I don't think there's many positions we don't want as a support. I think that there's so many positions that we all want to see improved. And we want a goalkeeper, we would love a right back, we want centre backs, we want a left back, we would love a defensive midfielder. If O'Reilly leaves, we'd love a centre midfielder. We want wingers and we want a striker. We want a whole team. So it's all about going into summer and levelling the expectation at a decent place, putting it somewhere where we don't leave the window being disappointed, but leaving the window being happy, and actually being able to turn around and say to the board, yeah, we're fine with that. We're not going to go and sign 11 players. That's just ridiculous to even suggest. But if we can enhance the team in certain areas to then make that rub off on other players, then that's good enough for me. I don't think you need to improve every single area, but if you can bring in players that then give a boost to other big players who we know can be great, then that works. Absolutely. Why am I getting adverts in a live stream? So I can make money. Thanks. It's my job. I don't get to control the adverts in live streams though, so don't blame me. YouTube does it. I don't get to pick. I don't get to pick when the ads come in or whatever. But I do need to make money, so thank you, YouTube. The ads on YouTube are ridiculous now. No, coming from a YouTuber who relies on them for a living, they are ridiculous. I try and watch Good Mythical Morning with my lunch every day, and I need to sit through like 50-second adverts, and it's fucking ridiculous. I just want to watch Rhett and Link eat some weird food. That's it. It's a bugger, really. Would I take Ian Hawke as manager? The new one would be no. Simple as that. I thought Awata helped us to control the game. McGregor looked lost again and clearly still miles off it. Yeah, my dad said the same. I never got to watch the full 90. I only got to watch the first half, and then I had to go for the ICW show, and I came home and watched the second half and kind of like extended highlights. But my dad was moaning and greeting about Cal McGregor yesterday, and I think you can see that he's still not back to 100%. So there is work to be done there, but he obviously is struggling coming back from that injury, and hopefully the recovery goes well over the next few months or not. Oh, there's a short list and a half there from AGSC Tech. We need a centre forward, 2 wingers, 2 midfielders, a left back, a centre back, and a goalkeeper. That's 8 players. It needs to be a 35 million to 40 million pound outlay. God, anything else? Is that all? You want any sides with that? Christ. But you're not wrong. Realistically, it is kind of what Celtic need, especially in terms of transitioning into a new sort of era, which is going to come very soon. Now, it sounds mad to say because we just kind of went into a new era when Ange Postecoglou came to the club, and that was only 3 years ago now. But that's how quick football moves now. Players age, players get on a bit, and form dips and whatever. Eras change, managers come in, managers go. That's just how it works. You're not wrong in saying it. There has to be money spent. There has to be big money spent in this summer window. There's absolutely no denying it. Do I reckon Celtic will go for it after the... I don't know. I feel like that's one of the ones that we need to consider at the end of the season. I think there's still a few big games for Ida to prove himself, and I think it's still premature to have the conversation. Norwich, I don't even know what the situation's going to be with them. They're the ones that have the power here. It's not as if we have an option to buy for a certain price. You know, Norwich, the cards are in their hands. They get to control it. And I think it'll be something that's assessed after the Scottish Cup final. And I know it's a boring answer, but there's 5 big games for Ida to prove his worth, really. And then I think we can have that conversation. Until then, it's all about trying to fight and win this league title and Scottish Cup. It's as simple as that for me. We will no doubt sell another 2 critical starting 11 players as well. So doubt we'll even have a high net spend above 5 million. Yeah, we're going to have to, prepare for the worst when it comes to Matt O'Reilly. Now I know Matt O'Reilly came out in the media and said he's banned even his mother and father from talking about his Celtic future. But realistically, I think we all know that could be happening. It's inevitable that Matt O'Reilly will probably leave the club. So that's another area we've got to consider spending money in next year. There's a big job ahead of us. It's a mini rebuild, really, and that could be potentially coming up this summer, which I don't think many people would have anticipated. And I'm going to sneeze. There we go. God, that doesn't happen often. Just cherish that. It's a rare Ryan Mominate collector's item. Kyle says, "Hi Ryan, I think Celtic should sign Bayindir as my 80 sub goalie is valued at 3.4 million thoughts." Yeah, he's been on the bench all year for Manchester United, and I think he probably wants a move because I think there was rumours that he wanted to play football. Should it be to Celtic? I don't know. I've seen him play like 2 games. Options. There's going to be plenty of them. We sadly can't do a swap for Sidney Van Hooijdonk because he's a Bologna player, isn't he? He didn't sign for Norwich permanently, and I don't think they have the Did they have the option to buy him permanently? Or did they buy him permanently? Actually, they did, didn't they? I'm talking absolute shite. I can't remember. Listen, Van Hooijdonk's been rotten at Norwich anyway, so I don't think that's something that'll be considered anyway. And that's where I'm going to wrap up tonight's stream, because I've went for half an hour. I've got 5 asides in half an hour, so I need to go and get ready. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here despite my absence over the weekend. So I really do appreciate it. We'll be back on the channel all week with different videos and stuff. And keep an eye out, wrestling fans, because I have a feeling something might be happening this week as well. In fact, if you're a wrestling fan, do you want to stick around? Do you want me to give you a teaser before I go anywhere? I've been working today. And I've done something. So I'm going to use this to end off the stream. And if you're a wrestling fan, you might like this. And this is how I'm going to end off today's stream. So thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. See you in the channel tomorrow. Probably another live stream this week as well. So I appreciate you all. God bless and have a good night. And here's how I'll end the stream for you wrestling fans, just to get your hopes up a wee bit.